Welcome to Gold Derby. I'm senior editor Denton Davidson here with rock legend Sebastian Bach, formerly known as Tiki on The Masked Singer. Sebastian, what made you do this show?
Well, Tiki is Bach. Tiki has left the building. What made me do the show, there's many reasons, but I've always loved theatrical rock and roll, Elton John, Kiss, Alice Cooper, David Bowie. I've always loved a big show, big costumes, fire and smoke and bombs going off. And this show, The Masked Singer, is definitely a big production. Like, it's a big production. I mean, I'm 6'4", and my costume was at least 2 feet higher than me. And then they put the umbrella and the straw on top of that, and that's another 2 feet. And then when I got that on, I said to the production company, perfect. Okay, somebody go out and get me a pair of platform boots. So then I was like 11 feet tall walking around backstage. So I thought that was really fun. But even more than that, the show let me choose what songs I was going to sing, which is great, even though I always choose what songs I'm going to sing, but nobody tried to tell me. Yeah.
You mentioned Elton John and Kiss, and Elton John just happened to be a theme that night. So you got to pick Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, and then you did Kiss for Rock Night. So what was that song selection process like for you as a musical artist? That had to be one of the more fun aspects, is just being able to pick and choose.
Well, yeah, most TV that I've done is very scripted. You know, I was on the Gilmore Girls for 7 seasons, and on that show, it's a story. So if they said, we're doing this song, Hollaback Girl, that you got to sing it, I don't have any problem with that. But there's certain songs that I can sing that really show off my voice. And one of them is that song Magic by Pilot, which people watching this might know as, oh, 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 Ozempic. But it's not Ozempic. It's magic. So I got to do that, and that's a very high vocal. And when I watch it on demand on the show, I'm really proud of the way I belted it out. And the same goes for I Was Made for Lovin' You. I sang a melody line in that was a combination of the actual lead vocal and then the harmonies that are in the back. I would alternate between lines. So I'm trying to put my own twist on these songs. And I've been singing I Was Made for Lovin' You since 1979. No exaggeration. That's one of my favorite tunes. So that was great.
You are such a theatrical and dynamic performer. What was it like being in such a huge suit? I mean, that had to change your whole style.
Well, if you look at my suit, all I could move was my hands. I was like a Tyrannosaurus Rex, like
the Kool-Aid Man.
The Kool-Aid Man. That's exactly that, or the Michelin Man. So I had to only move with my hands, and there's only so much you can do. But I was doing a lot of trucking, which I've always done since I was a kid. Keep on trucking. Tiki was doing a lot of trucking. If you look on the video, I just had fun. I've always had this thing where I can flick a switch in my head and say, all right, now it's time to kick some ass. I like every time that I would walk out on the Broadway stage, right as I was going out, I go, dude, it's time. Boom. And I have this thing inside me. I don't know what it is. I think it's respect for the stage. But if I flick a switch and I'm prepared, then I can get it done the way I wanted to do it. And I'm very proud of the performances on The Masked Singer.
Did the competitive juices start flowing? Like,
Oh yeah,
were you upset you got
yeah,
voted off
I was.
on
Well,
rock?
here
What the hell?
on the episode that I sang Magic on, the Harry Potter episode, I was in the bottom two, and I couldn't believe it because that singing is tough, and I did it. And so in that episode, they had me do a smackdown
Yeah,
against Husky, I think it was, or I can't remember the Hawk.
Hawk. Yeah.
And it was a Lady Gaga song. And since I didn't think there was any possible way that I would be in the bottom two, like that never entered my mind. I didn't really prepare for the Lady Gaga song. And so I'm on stage and they're going smackdown. And I go, oh my Lord. I didn't even really practice this because I didn't think there was any chance of me being in a smackdown.
Do they give you that SmackDown song? Like, how far in advance do you get that SmackDown song?
Like,
You can
like a couple days, but I didn't take it serious. I was like, I'm Sebastian Bach. There's nobody's gonna be as good as me. Dang it. I was like, I've done this my whole life. So here I am on the stage and they go, smackdown, Lady Gaga. And okay, I was in that thing and I said, you stupid idiot. You didn't even rehearse this really, but here's what I did. I go, flick the switch. I go, flick the switch, bang. And I go, smackdown? You want to have a vocal smackdown with me? Get ready for the smacking to begin, because you want to go against me in a vocal smackdown. And I just went bang, and I got the job done.
You did. You prevailed.
Been able to do that. Those are the skills that pay the bills.
Well, when you flip a switch like that on and you go on Broadway, you had a very unconventional sort of rock star career. There's not rock stars that transfer over to Broadway, really. And then you did so well in Jekyll and Hyde, Rocky Horror Picture Show, Jesus Christ Superstar. What made you want to do that? And were you always just confident that you would succeed in that arena?
Well, I always have to say this, but it sounds like I'm bragging when you say not a lot of rockers transformed to Broadway. The fact is, I was the first ever to do Broadway. There is none before me on Broadway in New York. Paul Stanley did it in Toronto, Canada, but that's a long way from Broadway. And the ironic thing is that I'm from Toronto and he's from New York. And he wanted to do Jekyll and Hyde, and I wanted to do it in Toronto. So it's really kind of weird. But I was the first one on Broadway, and what made me want to do that was the fact that when I was 8 years old, I was the lead soprano in my church choir. And that was way before I sang rock and roll. I was in the church. So Broadway musicals remind me of my time in a church choir, even to the fact that in the last scene of Jekyll and Hyde, Dr. Jekyll gets married. And during the marriage service, he changes into Mr. Hyde in the middle of the service. And the song that's playing is Land of Hype and Glory, marching as to war, which is a song I sang in my church choir. It's playing in the last scene of the play. So I don't know how, when you say that's a rare career, that's pretty rare. I mean, I could even go deeper. The whole plot of Jekyll and Hyde is Dr. Jekyll has to invent medicine to save his dying father. and the Board of Governors doesn't allow him to experiment on anybody because it's a untested medicine. So in order to save his dying father, he tests his medicine on himself. And that's what makes him transform. The time I was doing Jekyll and Hyde, my dad was dying of leukemia, and he would come and sit in the front row, like 10 feet from me. And I'm on stage trying to save my dying father while my dying father is in the front row watching me do this. So when people say, Sebastian was a good actor in Jekyll and Hyde, I wasn't acting. There was no acting when I was doing that. None, zero. And when I freaked out, that wasn't acting either. I'm a crazy mother trucker sometimes. And there was no acting in Jekyll and Hyde. Jesus Christ Superstar, that was acting.
What made, who was that artist or influence that flipped that switch in you from Church Boy to Skid Row?
Well, the answer to that is there was no singers. When I was 13, every band had guitar players, they had drummers, they even had bass players, but no band had a singer that could sing. like none. And I wasn't that good at all when I started in rock because that's a different style. I was very young and I didn't have the muscles built up to do a 2-hour show, but I had a good sounding voice and I could record in the studio pretty good. But when I tried out for rock bands, like I knew how to sing kind of, and the other guys trying out just they weren't from the church choir. So that gave me an edge trying out for bands.
And rock, I mean, those rock bands in the 70s and 80s, the vocalists, I mean, I think that goes a little bit underappreciated is how good the vocalists of those bands were.
Well, if you listen to a guy like Rob Halford from Judas Priest or Ian Gillan from Deep Purple, those two guys are hitting notes that are astonishing to the point where it's like there's an extra muscle in their throat or something. Like I don't know how those guys scream like that. And I can scream pretty good, but nobody can scream like Halford or Ian Gillan in the song Child in Time. When I first heard Victim of Changes by Judas Priest off Unleashed in the East, my friend said, listen to this. And he goes, I go, that's a guitar. He goes, no, that's the singer. I go, no. I go, that's an electric guitar. He goes, no, that's the singer. I couldn't believe that a human being could make that sound come out of their mouth. Like it's that crazy. If you've never heard it, go check it out. You'll see what I mean. So yeah, that's the style of metal. And when I was a kid, I was foolish enough to set the goal. I wanted to sing like Halford and perform like David Lee Roth. It's like, those were my two favorites. I go, I want to be as cool as Dave and fucking sing like Rob Halford. And over the years, I learned that that's a pretty hard challenge because Rob Halford doesn't move around like David Lee Roth, and David Lee Roth doesn't sing like Rob Halford, because to move like Dave and sing like Rob is pretty hard. I have touched upon it. I would say that if you saw the Skid Row Live at Budokan video from '92, that was pretty close to achieving my goal.
Yeah, I think you did pretty well for yourself, and you're still rocking. You have a new single that just dropped called "What Do I Gotta Lose," where your former Skid Row bandmate Rob Affuso joins. So tell us about that and what you're doing over the next year, tour dates or anything like that.
Well, it's a song that is out today on all streaming platforms. The video is out today on YouTube. It's hard for me to keep up with all the cool stuff that's going on. But the album comes out in 2024. And this song I wrote with Miles Kennedy from Slash's band and from Alter Bridge. It was produced by Elvis Basquette, who has produced all of Wolfgang Van Halen's records. I couldn't be more proud of it. I just couldn't be more proud of it. This song is fun. And when I look around rock and roll in 2023, I think there's a lack of fun.
Yeah.
Like this guy said this about this guy said this about this. Like, it's just clickbait and negativity that I can see. There's not a lot of fun, positive, good time rock. And this song, Merry Christmas, is time, fun, fist in the air, party time, rock in the tradition of like, pour some sugar on me. That's what this song reminds me of. It's that much fun, and I couldn't be more proud of it.
Well, if anyone can bring back the fun to rock, it's you. Sebastian Bach, pleasure to see you on The Masked Singer. Thanks for hanging out with Gold Derby and talking about the experience in your career with us today.
Thank you, Gold Derby. See you on the road in 2024.